States of America.
That's correct? No, sir.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve as a block.
Aye.
Not at this time.
Days of the past efficiencies and
Think this was on. That's what happens when you're tall. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Harvey. Our August enrollment was 1556 and our ADM at 1516. Of our 1556 students, 47 are fully virtual. All others have returned to in-person instruction. During the September school board meeting, I introduced a 3-year plan for enhancing learning. This plan includes in-school, after-school, summer school, and at-home learning opportunities designed to develop critical thinking skills and to facilitate expanded learning for our students. ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 grant funds will be used to fund these programs from 2021 to 2024. We are also venturing in a joint project with VCU entitled Cultivating School Administrators in a Small Rural District. Several VCU doctoral students will be researching practices and making recommendations of ways that we can support career preparation for teachers to advance to administrators. And also, representatives of our FFA will be assisting with the local field days of the past this weekend. And our high school is preparing for homecoming activities, and the parade is scheduled for Thursday, October 21st at 5 p.m. We also have before you our August FY22 finance reports. At this point in the year, we would anticipate revenues and expenditures being at about 16%. We are well below that at 11.56%. This is mostly due to 10 and 11-month July payroll expenses and sales tax revenue being accrued back to the previous year. If you have any questions, Ms. Bullock and I are available to address them.
the 47 virtual students, is that by choice or because of COVID or?
That is by choice. And those students are in virtual Virginia. They're enrolled in virtual Virginia, but they are our students. Thank you.
Evening. Asking for a $6,000 appropriation for our vehicles. We budgeted last year for $44,000 per vehicle. After speaking with Dodge, we're not even sure of those vehicles. Ford has the vehicles we need, with approximately $1,200.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I move we approve the appropriation. Late in August, we attended the planning commission meeting. All members completed their conflict of interest training. They were thrilled. The 10th of September, we had our kickoff meeting for the radio system. PTA gave us their plan, and they plan on meeting with all agencies to interview them and start the spec process. Social Services Board this morning, this afternoon, had the Piedmont Regional Jail meeting. We were down to 64 folks housed there. That's down from 3 last year. Second quarter billing are supposed to come out in 1st of October. It's going to be up a little more this year for some medical expenses of this quarter. Something coming down October by the governor that may have to do a pay increase to the officers there.
Since last meeting, I also attended the planning commission, joint public hearing, part of it, 2 broadband update meetings. For Piedmont Senior Resources, I had a finance committee meeting, a personnel committee meeting, and a board meeting. Also had the South Central Workforce Development Board Strategy Committee meeting. The Economic Development Authority meeting yesterday, and this morning, Commonwealth Regional Council. And at lunch today, I attended a webinar by the Virginia Economic Development Partnership in Go Virginia for post-COVID business attraction strategies, which was interesting.
I'm not going to be redundant and repeat some of them. I would like to add the radio system meeting. Could you give us an estimated time, possibly December, and all of the local partners get the thing in on time? That's all going good. We basically just confirmed what we had already talked about, put everything all together in one with what our needs are, and I think they will be well met. We will have some meetings coming up with the 4 vendors, radio vendors, just kind of a meet and greet thing. Basically, they can tell us what they got and what they can. They're spread out over the next. I also attended an emergency services meeting. It's basically just an overview for the days of the past event, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Police, fire, rescue, everybody was there, and everybody seemed to be real happy with the plan that they've come up with. I think that's all good to go too.
Thank you. I had a PSR meeting also. Piedmont Senior Resources attended to the joint public hearing of the Planning Commission. The Community Policy Management team met also. And at that meeting, board workshop meeting, of course. I have a Tobacco Commission meeting Tuesday through Wednesday of next week.
Yes, so we had the joint public hearing for this at the August meeting. This is required. This is required by DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation. The new flood maps go into effect October 7th, so we have to formally adopt the new maps by that date. After that time, once they're official, we will do a GIS overlay of the maps and notify the landowners who have been impacted one way or the other, either moved in or moved out of the floodplain. And the Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval of this.
I move to approve, Mr. Chairman. Aye.
Yeah, I can. So the general code ordinance, editorial and legal analysis is what we discussed last week at the workshop. So this was unclear. Jeff and I weren't on the same page, so we didn't actually need a public hearing. So we're ahead of the game because we're not formally adopting anything at this time. This is just our review of what they provided us, and we're saying this is what we want to do. We will have to do an ordinance and formally adopt the new thing once they give us the completed version back. So we're not formally adopting anything at this point. This is just y'all saying, yes, we're fine with these recommendations, go forward with it. So we don't actually need to do it right now.
Chairman, did I understand we need to do something to accept this?
No,
No, because you're not really
Okay.
accepting anything.
Okay.
So no, we're good. Just give me a head nod of yes, send it in.
I think Todd's going to handle most of that.
Can everybody hear me?
All right. Fortune, thanks for joining us.
Can you hear me?
Sidewalk project.
Yeah, I can barely hear you guys. Hopefully you can hear me.
Now we can.
Okay, good. I apologize. I think I'm having some trouble with the internet on my end, so hopefully we won't have any issues with my part. But in your packet should be 3 items. First is going, well, I don't know what order you put them in, but one's going to be a concept drawing of the proposed project. It is essentially sidewalks connecting the schools with the existing sidewalk, which ends near Amelia Academy. And that's just to give you an idea what the project would entail. And that also would be included with the application to VDOT should the county decide to move forward with the application. Another item would be the project budget to adjust for inflation. And what I mean there is this. I worked with VDOT to get cost estimates for the project. And, excuse me, the way the smart portal works for VDOT is when you go to input the cost, the portal automatically adjusts for inflation. So what you're going to have is you'll see a cost for each phase. It's broken into 3 phases: preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and construction, and then you'll see it adjusted for inflation. And then the third item is the board resolution. If the board decides that they wish to move forward with the application, then this resolution would need to be adopted tonight and signed and sent back to me and included with the application. Now, a couple of things I will note is there are some requirements with this program. First of all, this is, well, let me back up just a second here. It'll depend on whether the county wants VDOT to administer the project or if they want to administer it locally. If the county wishes for VDOT to administer the project, then once it is approved for funding and you're under contract with VDOT, you would pay your match portion to VDOT up front, and then VDOT would take it from there. And they would handle all the reimbursements and everything related to the project. Now, if the locality chooses to administer it, then what would happen is that it's reimbursable. Anytime you incur costs, whether it's a consultant, whether it's attorney's fees for right-of-way, whether it's the contractor, you would pay those costs up front in full and then get reimbursed from VDOT. Now, the funding is through the from the Federal Highway Administration. VDOT is a pass-through. That's important to note. So it's federal funds, and there are federal requirements involved. They include the environmental clearance. They include there's a process you have to go through for right-of-way if right-of-way needs to be acquired. And then with the construction, there are labor standards among other requirements. Now, what I have in the budget per those cost estimates, and again, adjusted for inflation, we're looking at a total project cost of just under $1,100,000 with a federal funds request of $872,429 and a local match requirement of $218,107. So keep that in mind as you move forward with this project. And now going to some of the other requirements. Now that budget assumes there is some right-of-way acquisition involved. When we did this application 2 years ago, my understanding was there was at least one property for which right-of-way would need to be acquired. But as far as some of the other project requirements, as you look at the resolution, a couple of things I want to bring your attention to. First, if the county chooses to start the project and they get partway through and decide they no longer want to do the project, then, and if they've been reimbursed through the grant by VDOT, the expectation is they will pay back the money they've gotten from VDOT to date. So just keep that in mind. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 6th paragraph down on the resolution on the first page. That's one important thing you need to keep in mind. The other right above that, once this is built and completed, the county owns it. Unless you can get VDOT to agree to maintain these sidewalks, the county's going to be on the hook for the maintenance of the sidewalks. So keep that in mind as you move forward. So that's pretty much what I have. I will take any questions you have. Really, long story short, what we need from the board tonight is a decision on whether they want to proceed with the project. And if they do, then they need to adopt this resolution. One thing I'll point out, VDOT is not as flexible as they used to be. If this were 3, 4, 5 years ago, VDOT would let the county submit the application and then adopt the resolution after the fact and submit that later. They don't do that anymore. Now you have to submit the resolution, a signed resolution with the application. So the county basically has a decision to make tonight. And I'll take any questions.
So this is to proceed with the grant application. If the application is approved, then we would determine whether we wanted to proceed with the project itself.
Mm-hmm.
Or is this committing to the project? I know you said once that you start
Well,
the
it's
project.
really, yeah, the county does have the option if they want to proceed with the application, they do have the option of later turning it down prior to signing a grant agreement with VDOT. I will say we advise against that. Typically, funding agencies, they will remember if you apply for something and are awarded it and decide to turn it down. But again, you have that option.
Thank you. And does anyone know regarding your ownership of the sidewalk comments? We currently own and maintain all the sidewalks that are already in the courthouse area.
They're saying
There.
no, I think.
And maintained by VDOT today? Do you have any thoughts on that that portion of the requirement? Does it give you concern?
Well, all I can say there is I don't know how old the existing sidewalks are, but anything that was already in the system, VDOT typically maintains. The existing sidewalks in the courthouse area, it depends on how long they've been there. If they've been there for a number of years, it's probably still under VDOT's purview. Now, we'll say if the county were to pursue this program later on to replace the existing sidewalks, then the county would own those, so to speak. As far as examples of other localities, I know the town of Victoria actually undertook a streetscape project which wrapped up 4 years ago. We were involved in that, and that involves sidewalks, crosswalks, what have you. Now, I do not know what arrangements the town has made for maintaining the sidewalks, but I know the town of Victoria does have its own public works staff.
I'm sure it's hard for you to hear, Todd, but our Director of Public Works is in the audience. He confirmed what you said about the ownership. So I just have a question for him. Do you have any concerns about if we were to win this grant, that the county maintaining them?
Should get to them.
Todd, we've also got our VDOT representative here, so sorry, I know it's hard for you to hear, but a little conversation between them.
Could you come up to the mic?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about the age of the sidewalks in the courthouse area, but again, those are within right of way, so they would be VDOT maintained. And I think the assumption in the application, as Mr. Fortune said, was that at least a majority of the sidewalk is built within existing right of way, with limited additional right of way that would have to be purchased. So if it was funded through this grant application and built right of way, it would be eligible for us to maintain it.
Would be eligible for or would be maintained?
Okay.
Mr. Fortune seems to have in the resolution specifics of the application. If there's something in there that related to the agreement that we'd have to reach an agreement. Typically, if it's that maintains those assets.
Resolution says we would be responsible.
If I could just jump in, the resolution. Yeah, if I can jump in real quick, the resolution, the wording in the resolution actually is from VDOT. That is their template resolution that we use. And one thing we've been told over the last few years is that typically the locality is responsible for upkeep unless they make arrangements with VDOT otherwise.
Is that for the Safe Routes to School program, Todd?
Yeah, the intention was to submit this as a safe routes project just because it connects to the 3 schools.
Yeah, so that I was thinking it was Safe Route to School. It's right in the application.
But we can't get out of maintaining. That's not an option. It's the only option.
It hadn't been discussed that VDOT was going to maintain it. Provided a cost estimate.
Mr. Chairman, how, it's just got to be signed tonight. It seemed like it's gotten a little blurry here. Maybe we need a little time to
Yeah.
check it out and make sure
Yeah.
we're going down the right path.
Yeah, if I can jump in, as I alluded to before, VDOT changes the rules a few years ago with these applications. The resolution needs to be submitted with the application. So any action you take, that would need to happen tonight.
Why?
If you want to apply this year, if you want to wait, the next time you apply is 2 years from now
What's the deadline?
under
for
this
year?
program.
What's the deadline for this year?
October 1st. October 1st.
Daryl? Do you have any experience at all on what average cost is per year for a sidewalk similar to this? Yeah. Maintain those? Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Do you have an idea of what it costs? Yeah, it is.
have some sidewalks that are off VDOT right away to maintain, right? They're heavily used. Do you find that they regularly need a lot of?
I wasn't asking about other, asking you if you had a feel for what it would cost to maintain a sidewalk once it's in.
Well, I would agree with, felt it would be ideal to have a bit more time. It's unfortunate. Time, but it's fortunate.
Mr. Chairman, if I could speak. I mean, to me, sidewalks is better than no sidewalks. This has been an ongoing problem for a long time that a lot of people in the village complain about. I see the kids walking, as well as adults. And at the price, I mean, 20% is a deal. I mean, $1 million project, and we're paying 200 and some thousand. That would give us $800,000 in maintenance. I mean, that'll keep those sidewalks going for the next 300 years. So, I mean, I see it as a quality deal if we get lucky to get it. I don't really see, I mean, you know, sidewalks don't usually just fall apart. I mean, I would think they'd be good for 10, 15, 20 years.
And this is the third time this has come up since I've been on the board, and the only thing that changes is the cost keeps going up.
Yeah, and it's going to keep going up. I think it's kind of a, if we can get it kind of thing. That's how I feel about it.
I'm aligned with your thoughts too. I mean, I think if we can contribute 20, get 80% from the federal government, it's a great bargain for the citizens.
I got some information sent to me. The schools maintain their sidewalks. They've spent about $14,000 the last few years for sidewalks.
Over the years, not per year.
Yeah, over a few years.
Thank you.
That's what I was trying to get at. Come on.
All right, do we have a motion from?
I'll make a motion. We approve this resolution.
Thank you. A motion on the floor. Any discussion or comments on the motion?
I got one little bit of discussion. Just to clarify, we're just putting in for the grant. We still have some time to work out ownership, construction folks, who's going to build it, who's going to own it. We still have time for that.
Yeah, we have to decide who's going to manage the construction too.
Mr. Fortune
was talking about.
Well, can I jump in real quick, gentlemen? What'll happen is the application is submitted October 1st, and it's probably going to be June, give or take, next year before we know if it's funded. And then after that, there'll be some additional time, if it is funded, before a grant agreement needs to be executed. And really no work can start on this project until the grant agreement is executed and you have federal authorization from VDOT to begin work on the project. So just to give you an idea how much time we're talking about, even if it's funded, it could be easily 12 months from now before even any preliminary engineering work starts, maybe longer.
But that would give us time to answer the question, Earl.
And to get it in CIP.
And Mr. Scott, I do want to clarify, you said and to work out the project administration, but the resolution, so we're all on the same page, does say that we would turn over project administration to VDOT. I mean, I do think that sounds like not just easier, but don't have We probably,
Well, again, if I can jump in again, the county has the option of letting VDOT administer the project, in which case they're going to handle all of that. And all you'd have to do is pay your 20% up front.
yes, that's what we're confirming. That's what's in the agreement that we'd be signing.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I think,
Okay.
the resolution says that the county administrator would apply for funds and execute it, not VDOT. It's in the final one on the first page.
Well, the county will be the one applying for the funds,
Apply
if
for
that's what you
funds.
mean.
And
And
execute
execute the
project
agreement.
administration.
But above it, it says, County of Amelia hereby agrees to enter into a project administration agreement with VDOT. So we're granting the county administrator the ability to execute that agreement, but the agreement is intended to proceed. It's built in, I mean, it's built into the cost already, and they're the experts at it, so I don't.
Definitely.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor, respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you, Mr. Fortune. We appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Worley, Mr. Goff as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with me. The internet's kind of slow on this end, but thank you.
Thank you.
And so, Taylor, I'll get up with you on getting the resolution.
Yes, sir.
All right, next we've got a request from the Piedmont Health District to roll over funds. We've got the materials in here. Essentially, they did not use all of the, unless anyone else is presenting this, just recap it.
Carla's on here to speak to any questions
She's going.
anybody's got.
We'll just recap real quickly. All the funds were not expended last year. The request is for them to keep the rollover or carryover funds versus removing. Questions or comments for Ms. Cave?
I don't have any comments for Carla, but I commented I'd like to let them keep the money for the new phone system that they need.
Would you like to?
I'd make a motion that we approve the carryover funds.
Thank you. Comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor, respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, next, we've got a request from the Amelia Emergency Squad. See, we've got someone on video from the Emergency Squad. Would you like to speak?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Easter, we did send in a request last month regarding personal property taxes with the rescue squad. Basically, what it comes down to is that we have received a personal property tax bill at this point. This is not something that we've dealt with in the past with the county. I understand that you spoke with my president this evening and that it is going to be a requirement. Our goal was just that we weren't going to have to beg for more money to pay the taxes. You know, we do everything that we can to fundraise and support ourselves by billing for calls and so on and so forth. And then we rely on the county to help us out with whatever we cannot cover on our own. So this is just going to be an extra expense for us.
Thank you. Let me see if I can recap the situation. I have spoken to the Commissioner of Revenue about this. As you said, I did speak with the president of the rescue squad, and our attorney, Mr. Gore, has also reviewed the situation. I've spoken with him. This is not actually a new requirement, but it unfortunately was one that was being overlooked through prior commissioners of revenue. Our existing Commissioner of Revenue has been on an effort over the last couple of years to make sure that all of our processes are compliant with state laws and regulations. We've seen the ramifications of some of those, which mean people who haven't necessarily been paying as much or taxes at all are being brought up to date. In general, that's a good thing because it means everyone's being treated fairly. It does sometimes mean there's some unintended consequences. In this case, based on consultation with Commissioner of Revenue and our attorney, if a nonprofit charges for its services, the state code does require that we include them for taxation purposes. So to differentiate this from the fire department does not charge for any services. Therefore, they are exempt from paying property taxes and real estate taxes. However, the emergency squad, very appropriately, does charge for their services where able and does get primarily insurance billings, which we've been updated on through our budget processes. So it's not possible for us to exempt an organization or just a particular type of organization from this. We've had this come up earlier this year. Some of us talked offline about it. I'm happy for everyone else to chime in. I don't think anyone here is excited about taxing the emergency squad. I think we fully understand the majority of your funds come from the county anyway. And if the county is required to be taxing you, then essentially we're going to have to be turning that money over at a later point. I did talk to, as I said, to President Jamari Dickerson this afternoon, and he and I have agreed we'll do a meeting in October with members of the county staff as well as Mr. Gore, and we'll look at some long-term options, which we think there may be a few to consider. But at this point, pretty well required by law to charge the taxes. That's the best, I believe, I could represent of a summary. Mr. Gore or any other Board of Supervisors members want to chime in?
Yeah, I think the easy solution is to tax them and then turn around and give it back to them.
Pretty fund the majority.
We have to, it's the law, we have to do it, but that doesn't mean it has to cost them.
If we go with that option, when do we return it? During budget time, or is it?
We could do we could do an appropriation for the extra 16,000 at our next meeting because they're paying it in this current budget cycle. And then we can address it for the following fiscal year during the upcoming budget.
I understand that the pay for service and how they make their money to pay for the career staff. Anything we can do to help the volunteers, I think we'd be money ahead. I'm a 35-year veteran volunteer in the county with the squads at early points and fire department. Anything we can do to make it easier on them. I can agree to this if we know we're going to give it back to them. We meet the law by charging it. I'd like to see it not drawn out. We don't want to do it, wash it out, and everybody
Do it this year.
Yeah. That sounds great. Let me just make any other comments or questions this end. Okay. I don't think there's really a motion to make on this because Commissioner in Revenue is just following the law in this case. Would you like, if everyone's in agreement, then we'll make a request for an appropriation be put together for next month's meeting equal to the amount of taxes for the emergency squad to be.
You want a motion?
Well, there's really nothing to vote on now. I think we just make the request of administration.
Yes, make that request. Next month, we appropriate balance of what the taxes.
Okay. It's hard to tell with the mask. It's hard to tell if you have something in front of you.
He's agreeing with your legal analysis.
All right. I talked on the phone, so I think we're good. All right, Mr. Harvey, that good? All right, we'll put it on the agenda for next month as an appropriation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say, I mean, in older, I mean, personally, like, I agree all side of it because that wasn't there. I mean, it would be a slippery slope saying, oh, well, you can exempt this nonprofit, but what about this one that does charity work, So,
yeah.
I mean, I think the law's in place. There's a good reason it's there. I mean, what we decide to do individually after that, especially something that the county taxpayer funds fund, I mean, that gives us a back end kind of way out of it. We don't have to deal with the slippery slope on the front end.
Great. In addition to that, as I said, Mr. Dickerson and some of us will meet and come up with some better long-term solutions. Right. Thank you. I'm moving on to our next one. We've got a special event permit, Ms. Steele.
Yes. We received an application for a special event permit from Mr. Wayne Hawkins, who's the activities director at the high school, for their homecoming parade to be held Thursday, October 21st from 4 to 6 p.m. They will have local law enforcement assistance with traffic and things like that. They are going to be doing a different route. You might have seen the map in there. They're not doing their typical route. They're going to be starting on the bus shop road right here beside the school, going down to the stop sign with Dennisville and 38 and taking a left, going past the elementary school, academy, and then turning by Parks and Rec on Dunn Street. So a slightly different route than they normally do. In addition to this, they are requesting that their fees be waived. And we're also requesting approval of the road closure resolution for this event as well. And the fees for this would be $50.
Similar to our discussion we just had, if we collect the fees from the schools, we're essentially turning them back around and giving it to them because we pay the budget, or at least a large portion of the budget for that. And Steele and I did talk earlier today. We've got some work being done overall on the event permit ordinance. We'll take into account about who should be circular. Entertain motions.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman. Fee of $50?
Fee and the resolution.
I'm sorry, what was the first one, the three?
The actual permit and the road closure resolution.
Okay, then I move we approve the actual permit, the resolution, and the $50 fee. Waiver of the $50 fee.
Thank you. Sorry. All right, we've got a motion there to approve both and waive the fee. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, respond with the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Mr. Harvey, we'll turn it over to you for your section.
Okay, the county administrator's report under tab 11, the waste management host fee for the month of August was $261,638.19. That's down just a little bit, but still kind of within range. Nothing going on that we need to be alarmed about according to the fund. Item 12 is the CRC items of interest for August. Be happy to try to answer any questions on that list. Scott was at the meeting today. I'm sure he could help as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion today around the cigarette tax issue and the formation of a new regional economic development organization, similar to Virginia Growth Alliance. Sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
And the DMV Select monthly report is out, $3,858 for the month. Fairly well on target for past budgets. Tab 14, that's a resolution from Powhatan County. Pretty sure this has to deal with mandating medical treatments, vaccinations, and things. They've obviously adopted one. They've sent it to Amelia County, or actually all counties in Virginia. They would like for the Amelia County Board of Supervisors to consider adopting something like this at some point in time. That's there for your review. Last tab is the announcement from Nottoway County that Ted Costin is their new county administrator. He came from VDEM, Virginia Department of Emergency Management. He's had experience through several different counties over on the Northern Neck especially. He was at the jail meeting today, and he's going to be an asset, I think, especially with all the activity that they've got going on at Fort Pickett right now. with the new residents coming in, with so many different things that the entire region is going to have to deal with, not just Nottaway County. So Mr. Costin is on board, and Mr. Chairman, that's the last of my items.
Thank you. Any comments or questions for the county administrator? We'll move into board member comments. District 1.
Excuse me, before we do that, is there anything to be done about this Powhatan resolution? I don't support it. I just want to know if we need to discuss it or agree we're not going to do anything like that. Or do we just let it go?
Anyone's welcome to make a motion if they want to draft it. Now or in the future.
Yeah, I don't think we need it yet, but I do like it.
I like it, but I'd like to take a look at it.
Time to consider it. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Else, District 1.
I'd just like to tell the squad how much we do appreciate them and the fire department. Our volunteers are our asset. Fortunately, they all said something about how we had to do things, but I think we made it right by doing the way we did it. Appreciate y'all a whole lot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. District 2.
No additional comments.
District 3.
Nothing this time.
District 5.
No additional.
And I'll close it out. The only thing I'd like to say is I wish the best for the Field Days of the Past, a big event, the biggest event for Amelia coming up this weekend. Aligning with Mr. Phelps' comments, I appreciate everything the sheriff's office, fire and rescue are doing. Fire and rescue volunteers have several hundred hours worth of volunteer time that they've been desperately encouraged to volunteer for, and hope that that will go well. Any need for a closed session this evening? All right, as we come to the end of our stated agenda, I will call the meeting adjourned.